They called him the Diesel.
Crank up that diesel. Let's go.
He leaned across the table and he goes, "You need to get me back there. I'll make you famous."
And to Riggins, good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone. He's gone.
It's Riggo the Diesel.
Well, guess what? Riggo the Diesel is back, and this is, well, it depends on who you want to, according to who. Now, to me and Todd, who is, Toddcat, T-Cat, it's our season 2, episode 1, but our producer, Stevie Katz, says it's actually our 42nd episode, so you can go either way with that. However you want to go with it.
I tell you, John, I think season 2 sounds much better.
Season 2, episode
'cause we got
1.
renewed.
So we'll go, next week it'll be season 2, episode 2.
Yes.
That's when you pull it up on, what do you call it, on, you're looking at some of these network shows that are on like Netflix and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's always like season 1, season 2. Well, The Office is a classic example in whatever episode.
Right.
Anyway, Larry, good to see you. Larry Michael.
Good to see you, John.
Your Washington Redskins voice.
Of course, saw
And
you
I
last
am
week.
Riggo the Diesel.
Saw you at the stadium last week.
Yep.
And you know what? I just have to tell everybody, Pat Fischer was just in the studio saying hello.
We should have kept him here a little bit longer.
Should
In fact,
have.
you know what? We're going to do some stuff when the season's over with. Some of the former players, and Pat will be at the top of the list.
What a great guy, man.
Not a great guy. Well, I mean, not only a great guy. I'm starting to talk like
Say, wait a minute,
T-Cat. Not everybody works 9 to 5.
Does he work 9 to 5? Brother, it was 9 to 4 for him, and he gets an hour lunch, too.
But I remember so vividly, Larry, and you probably remember this game because you were, I don't know, were you in 72? Were you?
I was in town. I grew up in the
Were you in
area, so yeah, I went to Maryland. I was at Northwood High School.
You were in high school in
Sligo
72?
Junior High, actually, in 72.
Okay, so
actually,
there.
I was in elementary school in 7. No, not
But
really.
no, let's not go. You were in uterus? Is that where you were?
Yeah.
But what I was going to say is I remember so clearly when, the team turned a corner in 72. I don't remember. 71, did they make the playoffs? Or just miss it?
71-72 was the year they went to the Super Bowl, right? Yeah. With,
no, it was a 72 season, 72-73 Super Bowl.
72-73, which was the perfect season by the Miami Dolphins.
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, what I wanted to say was the Redskins came to New York and played the Jets, I don't know, about 3/4 of the way through the season. It was later. It was late October, November. Pat Fischer. I mean, the guy was like a vice. This guy understood mechanics. And it's such a shame, and I don't want to bust on players today. They play a different game. That's all there is to it. I'm an old guy. There's different rules for sure, and there's different techniques. And, from some of us older people, we look at this and we go, well, the fundamentals seem to be slipping away, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, particularly in the defensive backfields. Instead of tackling people and wrapping them up and putting them on the ground, there's a tendency to grab hold and try to, hey, I got him. Somebody come here and help me. Pat Fischer was one of those guys that says, I got this, guys. You can go on back to the huddle. And I remember breaking free a couple times. Fischer came to me. That guy had me on the ground and nothing flat.
Fischer tackled you?
Oh, man, I'm telling you what. Not just tackled me, but it made me almost helpless. He was almost one of those gauchos. Thought he had a bolo or something because he'd just wrap up your legs and you were done. You couldn't move.
He'd wrap you and lift you, and he's stronger than he appears and appeared.
What do they say? Wiry.
Yeah, and my favorite memory was Harold Carmichael.
Oh,
right?
God.
He would take on Harold Carmichael.
That was a great.
And him climbing on top, and like
Yeah.
you say, that should have never worked.
No,
Well, today it wouldn't.
No, he'd get penalized. He'd get penalized bad.
They might throw him out of the game
Yeah.
after about the third.
He'd tear your eyeballs out. He literally would tear your eyeballs out.
Yeah, Pat was a tough one.
He
There's
was
no question
tough.
about it.
Tough. You know what? That is something that you like to see. Hard to find nowadays because of the change of the rules. Who is your tough guys? But I saw Landon Collins make a hit last week. Look pretty good.
And that's kind of what he got you looking for. Before we jump into some team related stuff, I wanted to ask you, how's your summer going? What did you do? Did you go in? Because I got a couple stories I wanted to tell.
Went overseas for a brief
you
trip.
did?
Yep, went overseas for a brief trip.
That's right. That's right.
That was a lot of fun. And spent 3 weeks in Richmond.
You guys were down there 3 weeks?
I was there from the 21st again until the 11th. So to me, it was almost 3 weeks. I'm saying 3 weeks. And because of the way the schedule fell, I only got to come home one time. So it seemed like a very long time away to me, which I don't like being away that long. That's too long. And unless I'm, vacationing.
Well, once again, I go old school on you, Larry. Back in the old days, it was 6 weeks.
6.
Yeah,
You have been around the globe, though.
Huh?
You have been around the globe.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was going to say. We, my family and I, my 2 daughters and my lovely wife, we traveled to Prague, the Czech Republic. I'm 50% Czech, so I was going back to see my peeps. Not that I know anybody over there, and I certainly don't speak the language. And it's a beautiful town. There's no question about it. But God dang, the tourists were just, you see them, and there are maybe 15, 20 of them in a group, and you got the person walking, and they're holding up an umbrella or some kind of a flag. So, because that's the team leader, and and they stop and they talk about all.
Did you get recognized? Did you get recognized over there much? Did anybody surprise you by saying, "Hey, it's John Riggins in Prague"?
No, I can't say that they did.
No,
unfortunately, I'm not.
Shucks.
The peeps don't know who I am. But, well, I'm working on that. Not unlike the other night. I was 2 nights ago. I was over at Wolf Trap, and I had about 3 or 4 people recognize me. They had what's his name, Mark Knopfler or whatever from Dire Straits, who went to hear him. I got a great night's sleep before I left the concert. That was interesting.
Oh. Really?
Boom, boom. But anyway,
Man.
so let me tell you a couple of quick stories. The first story is we're about ready to leave Prague, and my wife did an unbelievable job. Really, she set up individual tours in Prague. We had 3 or 4 of them. Loved our tour guides. Of course, that's kind of luck of the draw. So she nailed all the logistics of everything. Had the car rental. We bang, 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 did everything. So we're leaving Prague on a Thursday morning, or we're leaving Prague on a Thursday. And we've got our itinerary and all that stuff. And so Thursday, we're leaving at 7 p.m. And we get a call. She gets a call from Milan, from the driver that was going to pick us up at the Milan airport, saying, this was in the morning, saying, well, the driver's there ready to get you. And she goes, well, no, we're not coming until this evening. You've jumped the gun. And all of a sudden, she started to get kind of one of these weird thoughts about it. And so she decided to call the airlines. And, of course, once she got a hold of the airlines, the guy had the perfect opportunity. No, actually, it was the day before to tell her that actually that's 7, that's actually 7. It was when it said 7, it's 7 p.m., not a.m. So, I mean, it was 7 a.m., not p.m.
No, you missed the flight?
It would have been 1900. Because it's military time. Exactly, we missed the flight.
You missed the flight because you thought it was 7 p.m.
Yes, exactly.
But it was really 7 a.m.
But that was kind of going, yeah, okay. We were fortunate because we didn't have to give up the room where we were in, so we just spent another night, and that was cool.
Wow.
So, yeah, so now we get down to Milan. We do, the shopping thing, which is pretty interesting, that all the stores that are there, because that's one of the fashion capitals of the world, New York,
Absolutely.
Paris, Milan. One of the big 3, I guess. There may be another one in there, Moscow. No, I don't think Moscow is a fashion capital. But anyway, here was one of the good parts.
For fur hats, it is.
Huh?
For fur hats. If you had
That
a
would be
fur
true.
hat, you got
That'd be true.
Been there.
Yeah. And any kind of fur for that matter, probably.
Maybe.
But anyway, we go, now once again, Lisa Marie way ahead of everything. We had to get international driver's permits, IDPs. We did that. We went to AAA, got our IDPs, we're good. So before we left, I said, Lisa Marie, I just got my new driver's license. This is back in June. I said, I've got the IDP, I've got a passport. I don't need to take this. It's just another thing to lose the way I saw it.
Yeah.
She said, yeah, you're right. We don't need to take those. So we get over there. We go down to the day. It's Saturday. Now the whole trip from Milan is based on a car. And we've got to drive, we're going to drive over to Florence, and then we're going to drive some little town in Tuscany. And then from there we go to some hot springs area. And then from there all the way down to Sorrento, the seaside place. It's down on the Mediterranean. We get there at the car rental place, and we're waiting, and she starts looking at her stuff, and all of a sudden it says, well, you need your IDP, your International Driver's Permit, and your National Driver's License as well. Thank you. Thank you very much. So now she shares it with me, and I'm going, oh, man.
Bad decision.
I'm like sinking, just like, I'm like a noodle. I'm just got nothing. And I'm finally, and I'm sitting there, and we're waiting our turn, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to tell the girls, I'm going to the airport and go home. I mean, because
you got to go home.
Well,
because
listen,
your whole trip.
then you're going to be schlepping on a train, or you're going to have to get a driver, which is just wildly expensive. I didn't see how we were going to do it. I mean, that's where I was going with. So anyway, we get up to the guy. He says, "Okay, this," and gave him the international driver's permit. And then all of a sudden, he goes, "We're almost all the way through it." And I'm going, "Oh God, okay."
You're going to slip through.
We're going to slip through. And then he says, "Okay," he says, "I just need one more thing." And her and I both went like this.
Womp womp.
Yeah, exactly. He said, "I need a credit card." And I'm telling you, we got out the credit card, paid him, and as soon as I got in that car, I went, "Beep," I was gone. I said, Ain't none to get me now. I
So
mean,
you didn't
if
need
the
a
guy would have
license.
thought, and he goes, oh, damn, because then I was blocked in, and I'm thinking, this guy, he's going to figure out I never got those other driver's license. Going to come out and say, but I got out of
But
there.
you were long
and
gone.
everything was good. So,
Good.
because the last story, I'll finish it up right here real quick. We take off, and we get on what's called the Autostrada, which is basically their interstate system down out there. I'm driving along, and I'm basically flow of traffic, and I'm driving, and I'm looking at my speedometer, which is in kilometers.
Uh-oh.
And I asked Lisa Marie, I said, hey, honey, I said, look on your iPhone real quick. How fast is 160 kilometers an hour? And she pulls it up and says, 99. 99.
Whoa, you're going 99.
I was going 99.
And you were in the flow of
And
traffic.
I didn't even think. And there are people passing me.
kind of
and
car
they're
was
passing
that?
me at a pretty quick pace. You got to pull over and let them go by. I was like, you got to be kidding.
What kind of car you have? What were you driving?
Oh, I think it was a Mazda or something. It was a newer model, but I mean, the car wasn't straining. Everything was
99.
beautiful.
You imagine going on the toll road? 99?
Well, no, I can't, but there's
There are probably
a baseball
people
player
doing
around
that.
here that could. What was his name? He was from Philadelphia. Had the beard. Jason.
Oh, Worth.
Jason Worth.
Worth. Yeah.
He can
Yeah.
imagine
It was
going.
$130.
Yeah, I was
it's
going to
like-
say, I think he
wow.
pumped it up a couple.
He bucked 30.
Must
All
have
right.
been some kind
We
of
got to do some
Ferrari.
football, Larry. Let's come back, and we will get into the offense. How's that
Will
sound?
do. Sounds good. The Times of Money family of scratchers from the Virginia Lottery offers a game at every price point and over $345 million in cash prizes in the whole family. From 2 times the money, its top prize of $4,000 to 100 times the money, and its top prize of $7 million. These games offer you a chance to find multipliers to multiply your winnings and win big. If you find 100 times the symbol in the 100 times the money, you multiply your prize by 100. That sure makes sense. Consider what multiplying the good things in life would mean. Now think about money multiplied. That's what the Times of Money family means. Find the games at your lottery retailer today.
All right. Now, believe me when I say O'Connor Plumbing is the way to go. And the next time you have a plumbing problem, do me a favor, give them a try. That's all I ask. Give them a try. I've been using them now for about 5 years, and they're great people, number one. They're very dependable, and they're the best plumbers out there. They're as good as any, let me put it that way. And they're reasonably priced. And you got to ask yourself sometimes, is my plumbing ship-shape? So basically get out ahead of the game and see if you can get O'Connor out there to maybe give you the white glove test. See, a lot of us, we put off the crucial decisions because we know doing the right thing is going to cost us money. But see, a head in the sand approach really doesn't work when it comes to your plumbing. O'Connor Plumbing gets it. And they're going to go out and help you finance your plumbing needs, which is going to take a lot of stress out of your day. So if you play with water, we all know you're going to get soaked. Don't let that happen to you. Call O'Connor Plumbing at 1-833-RIGGLE44 and ask about their special financing options.
Hey, I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back.
Who's bored? Who's broke? And who's back?
I wanted to always see the redwoods. I wanted to see the Rocky Mountains. I wanted to see the Painted Desert, the Petrified Forest, the Grand Canyon. That was like the land that I always wanted to go to.
John Riggins.
Ah, yes, I wanted to see all that stuff. But now I've seen Prague, Milan, Sorrento, Rome. Went to Rome for
Add
the
that
first
to the
time.
list.
Yeah.
I want to go on the offensive here.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm going to go on the offensive because I want to
do.
hear your thoughts because you've despite your world travels, you're up on this football team. And we're going to go into the offense here. This is an outstanding outline. It's put together by TC over here. He worked on this all night. Quarterback situation. I mean, this is a situation here where you got an experienced veteran who seems like he can win. You've got a rookie who's got all kinds of potential. Everybody's got an opinion. What is Riggo's opinion?
I've thought about this quite a bit, Larry, and I'm glad you asked because that's one of the first thing I was going to bring up was the quarterback position. Hey, there's a lot of possibilities, as they say, more than one way to skin a cat, but there's just no way. Well, I take that back. I'm assuming that Case Keenum is going to start the game against the Atlanta Falcons. That's going to be my assumption. And unless he throws like 4 picks in the first half and, 3 of them are pick sixes, I just don't see how you can keep him from starting against Philadelphia. I just don't see it. The guy's won playoff games. It might be tempting to go with Haskins. It might be very tempting, and, this would be if he plays exceptionally well, and as I said, Keenum plays particularly poorly, then that's going to give somebody a moment of pause. But I don't really see that happening. I think it's going to be more of the same. And I think that, this is an offense that right now, based on the fact you got really, Alex Smith is not going to be with the team, and he was just learning it last year, so he had that much experience. You've really got no experience at quarterback going into this season. So they're going to be, they're going to be in a unit that is going to have to find themselves, if you will. And in that sense, there's a lot of questions about what you're dealing with there. And we've talked a little bit about on the pregame show about that.
Yeah. Running back. You saw Adrian Peterson carry the ball the other night. He sure looked pretty good in that one carry. But, hey, we have not seen Geis. And Geis has not been cleared for contact. Do you think you have to see Geis in the preseason, or is that something you're just going to wait until the regular season gets here?
Well, once again, you got a great – that's what's really so interesting about this football team is, on the one hand, you can say the glass is half full, or you can say it's half, on the other hand, you can look at it and say it's half empty. I don't really know for sure, but I would say this. I would think his being a second-round draft pick from last year, having not played in well over a year now, he hadn't played in 18 months, I think, something like that. I'm sure from his perspective, he wants to get out on the football field and see what's going on. And let me say this, that there's a lot of pressure on him. Having not played at all, not being cleared to do a whole lot, I don't know, in practice. Obviously, he wasn't cleared for contact.
Not cleared for contact.
So he's got those question marks in his mind. And if he goes out and doesn't play well, you're dealing with now you've got an unknown quantity there. You're putting the load back on Peterson, who may or may not be able to do it. So once again, you've got a question mark there. But I definitely I thought we would have saw him last week, but he wasn't cleared to play. Because I would think that you'd want to get him some reps, if nothing else. I mean, you got to look at this like last year was a freak accident, getting injured. I think sometimes coaches can protect players too much, and as I say that, I'm being a little bit of a hypocrite because I didn't want to play in preseason.
Right,
it wasn't, and I wasn't necessarily worried about getting injured. It's like it's a meaningless game. It doesn't count. Why am I going to go out there and I guess take some mileage off the tires, and you got a whole season to play. But at the same time, I think a guy like Geis, clearly Peterson ain't that guy. He's been doing this for so many years. He doesn't need to touch the ball during the preseason. In fact, he's got enough carries right now, and I wouldn't be surprised if he rested on out and is ready to go. And a lot of that's going to depend on how Geis fares. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised to see Geis start the game on Thursday night.
Be interesting. John, you are famous for some words you once spoke. I'm bored, I'm broke, and I'm back. And you sat out, right?
Yes, I did.
You did not play pro football, where you could have been making plenty of money. And instead, you went out to Kansas and consumed beverages.
I decided, yes, that, and did a little hunting.
Yes. So your position on Trent Williams and what's going on here is what?
Well, I'll tell you what. From my perspective, I think that the team is. I don't know exactly what they're thinking, but there's been very little communication that anybody's aware of between Trent and the franchise. We don't, and not knowing what's going on. I mean, from my perspective, you can argue both cases. You can say, well, they need to get him back here because he's at the left tackle. The players look up to him. They feel like, it's almost like without him on the football field, that they're somehow not the same football team, and that you can make an argument for that. At the same time, Trent's gotten injured the last 3 years. And he's been there and then not been there sometimes when you've needed him. He's also, if I'm not mistaken, every time a quarterback's been injured and that goes back to RG3, he's been on the football field. It's not like if he's out there, all of a sudden all the quarterbacks are, protected. They're not going to get injured. Now, I'm not saying that any of that was his fault. I'm just saying he was on the field. So there's no guarantees there. So I would think that in this situation, if they have the right opportunity to trade him, I think you've got to do that. And I think that you got to believe in your draft. You have Christian?
Jaron Christian?
He's a second-round draft pick, isn't he?
No, I think he's a third or fourth.
Third.
Which
Okay.
one is it, Devontae? Third-round pick? Yeah.
Third. Okay, so, you've got the other kid you got was with Oakland last year.
Donald Penn.
Right. So, I mean, you've got some options here that they got to play. I mean, that's just the bottom line, and you got to face the facts that that's the way it's going to be. And I think that, Trent's a great pass blocker, and he's a tremendous athlete. Really, for a guy his size, it's like, he's like, 200 pounds lighter. He's like a 150-pound guy out there. But at the same time, I would say, particularly in the running game, I don't think he's the best run blocker by quite a bit. And so I think that you're giving up a little bit on the pass blocking, but you're not really losing a lot in the run blocking. But then again, maybe it's a new scheme and basically everything's finesse, and he's got such great feet he can basically screen people off. But as far as drive blocking goes, this team isn't known for its great, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, get it at crunch time. If he was that guy on run blocking, you'd run behind him every time and you'd get your first down. That's my feeling anyway.
You know what? We're going to change our format. Sneaker read in, then talk defense. Do you approve of that?
Like it.
Helping people improve their lives is what should drive business. That's the belief of Koch Industries, which employs more than 65,000 people across America. Team at Koch works together to meet the world's changing needs in transportation, medical care, water filtration, household goods, energy-efficient building products, and everyday technologies, all while consuming fewer resources. See the innovations firsthand at KOCHindustries.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, stand back and watch the Phoenix rise from the ashes.
Stand back. It's Riggo the Diesel.
Some of the script that he wrote for me last week, and it's like, not everybody works 9 to 5. He knows what I'm talking about, and I can't really go through everything, but T-Cat, watch it on the ashes stuff, okay?
So are you saying?
Because I'm a little sensitive to that now.
Some people work more than 9 to 5, or some people work less than 9
listen,
to 5?
he writes this copy where basically O'Connor Plumbing has new and improved hours, so, if you're not home between 9 and 5, they'll work with you.
That's good.
So, Todd says, though,
Overtime charges.
Yeah, exactly. So, but Todd says not everybody works 9 to 5, meaning that if you're somebody that you wouldn't really need, that you could be there during the day because you don't work 9 to 5.
See how complicated it is?
Yeah. So in other words, what Todd would have said.
So for
what
those
he
that don't
said,
work 9 to 5,
No.
you don't need the after hours.
Yeah. So what he should have said was, if you work 9 to 5, O'Connor
use
has
them.
some special hours for you.
Yeah. Now I'm confused.
Well, good.
That's the point.
Was that what your intention?
That's why we're redoing the script.
Yeah.
That's why we're going to rewrite it.
As confusing as that is, and as how it sounds like you have some question marks about this offense, which I think a lot of people do.
Well, and I didn't even get into the receivers.
Yeah, but I think, receivers, tight ends, I want to talk about this defense, John.
Well, and that's you're talking about something perhaps with the potential to be special.
So you look at that front, and you look at the investment they've made, and you look at the type of people they've got there, and you look at the way your guy Minuski has coached these guys up. This causes you reason. It causes me to be reason to be optimistic, if for no other reason but the defense.
And I think right there you've nailed it, Larry. And that's been my feeling all along. As I said, offense is going to be a work in progress, and you're just going to have to bear with them and see what happens. But this defense, I think, will have the ability to keep the points off the board. And that is going to be critical, because that would mean that you're going to be in every game, right down to the wire. And, a lot of times somebody makes a mistake, you capitalize in a weird sort of way, and he's the team president. This team has evolved into the George Allen mold in a lot of ways. If you look, we're going back old school. We're going back 40-some years. And this is what you said. It all starts up front with the big boys, the same way it does on offense, and they've got some real strong people up front. The linebackers, we've did a little shift in there, but they've got this John Bostic in now. He's showing very well. People are very happy with him. Your DBs look like solid with depth. You've added an edge rusher with Sweat. It's going to be really interesting. And I was reading something, which I didn't realize after the game on Thursday night, but they literally stoned Cincinnati when they were out there, the first team. They got 45 yards in penalties. That's how they got down to into the red zone.
Yeah.
And then they get the pick six on. It's like, okay, well, we're kind of screwing around here. They run that back. They completely are starting to stranglehold people. There's going to be days when they'll be tested, but I'm going to tell you what, going into the season, this potentially, I would say, I think they'll be in the top 10 defenses. Greg Minuski brings another addition. I don't want to bust on anybody that was, had that position before Greg, but I know Greg a little bit. He's very passionate. I think he communicates well with his players, and I think he's the kind of coach that players want to play for. And so I would say with all that together, and Tom Sula, the defensive line coach, same kind of guy. I think they've got a lot of, in other words, they're going to be a ballsy bunch, if I can say that. They're going to be in your face.
You can say anything on a podcast, right, Todd?
You could
I
say
didn't
just about anything on the podcast.
Well,
right?
I don't want to get into my.
It's not FCC.
I can't believe I got this far without
rules.
using my
You said
my
ballsy.
four-letter
You said
vocabulary.
ballsy.
That's mild. Keep it going.
That's not a real bad word.
Okay,
Ballsy.
it's probably in a dictionary. So anyway, they,
Is that-
have,
is
they
that-
have a lot of temerity. They're going to have a little moxie. Is that Howard Cosell? Moxie. I think we're going back.
Moxie,
You've heard
ballsy,
ballsy,
stones
temerity.
is the way of putting it.
There we go. But yeah, I don't think really it. If nothing else, I think that gives everybody something really to look forward to see what these guys are capable of doing. And I think it's going to be something special.
So, special teams have given up punt returns.
There you go.
In
There
the
you
last
go.
two games. Now, I'm not making excuses. Both these happened late in these games, where you have the
That's
third
right.
and fourth
Yeah.
teamers in, but you also have third and fourth teamers in on the return side. So you think maybe that balances out third teamers versus third teamers, but you can't have that happen during the season, obviously.
Yeah, and I that's the one thing, and Todd and I was talking about it on the way out here, and that's what occurred to me. I said, well, it was late in the game, and you're not, all of a sudden you've got guys that are rookies and, free agents and all this stuff. So you're not, these aren't going to be, you got 100 guys on your roster damn near. I mean, these aren't the guys going to be out there, so you have to think that will get taken care of. In some ways, Larry, it's good, because you've got a new special teams coach, and, it puts pressure on him. It's like people are starting to look at me and that means he's going to up the ante. And I think that, that's going to be passed on to the players, and I don't think you're going to see this in regular season. I'll tell you the other bright spot was the punt returner. Was it Reynolds or was it what's his name?
Might have been.
Wilson. One up.
Yeah, he got hurt, unfortunately. He got hurt.
He's
He's
out.
got an ankle injury, and he's hurt. He's the
Which
first-year
one?
player out of Duke, Wilson.
Wilson is.
Yeah, but, you got Jimmy Moreland, who's just been
Yeah.
super exciting. I think you've got more speed on this team than you had last year. It's very apparent to me there's better
Oh,
speed,
definitely, for sure.
especially on the defense. So I think that's going to help. I thought of you the other day off the football field. Is Rocky still around?
Rocky.
Rocky in your front yard. Wasn't it?
Oh,
Rocky?
Rocky Raccoon.
Yeah, is he still there?
No, but it's funny you bring that up, Larry. It's a little bit early, but this is a tiny bit year when Rocky
He's gonna
decides to
visit.
pay a visit. I don't know what I'm going to do.
could-
You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking I might just go with Have a Heart. That trap that you get that they walk into and then you relocate them.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not having any. I mean, I had my moment last year, and I just completely.
You couldn't pull
I think
the
I've
trigger.
lost my nerve.
You lost your nerve.
I think I've lost my nerve.
Does that work with snakes?
I don't think so. I don't think they've got a Have a Heart snake thing. What?
I'll tell you something. I went out. I got two pretty sizable dogs, and I heard them in the backyard a couple weeks ago. I go out there, and there is a black snake there, all coiled up. This snake, as it uncoiled and went up the side of my fence and went up in the tree, had to be 7 feet long.
Wow.
Had to be as big around as my fist.
That's a big
It's
black
the
snake.
biggest snake I've seen in Northern Virginia, black snake. So I looked it up right away, and I really couldn't tell the markings on the snake.
If it's black,
but-
yeah, don't worry about it.
But, oh my gosh, that thing was large. And I said, well, you know what? What would Riggo do? What would Riggo do?
You know what, black snake? You want to keep that thing around.
Because it takes care of the varmints.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
But my dogs, though, my dogs eat lizards in the backyard. You ever seen those little lizards that run
yeah,
around?
they're little skinks.
My dog
Skanks.
came in the other day, had something sticking out of its mouth. It was the tail of a lizard.
Well, that's probably all he got, though, because that breaks off and the lizard keeps on going.
He might have had a little snack. He might have had a little snack. And there's all kinds. We get the deer there. Where I live, there's some trees and there's frogs. I saw a huge turtle. I'm just worried about my dogs eating these things. I guess it is protein, though.
Hey, they've been domesticated. They were wild once upon a time. They got them in Africa, wild dogs. I wouldn't worry about what they eat.
Yeah.
I think they'd be fine.
They don't eat
Forget
the
about
dog food. I know that. So
Speaking of snakes, no, the only snake around here that I know of is a copperhead. And it's pretty easy to tell. I mean, it's a beautiful snake when you see it, but it's only about 2 or 3 feet long. I've killed a couple over. I hate to kill them, really, but I'm going, I don't really want to get bit by a copperhead. I think one bit a dog I had about 4 years ago. His leg was all puffed up, and
did the dog make it out okay?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
I took him to the doctor.
Little
and they left him
Benadryl?
yeah, but I mean, they will cause a nasty bite, but I don't. Occasionally, if you're that person that you have allergic reaction, yeah, you might buy the farm.
I kind of freaked out a little bit. I didn't know what I was going to do. I got the dogs inside, and this thing went up in the tree. It was a hot day. It just went up and sat up in the tree.
Well, a snake that big is intimidating, I will tell you that. I remember it reminds me one time I had a horse barn out in Kansas, and it had a little railing, and it had, the barn doors that slide back and forth, and it had, a little, what do you call it, a covering over that. It was made out of metal, tin, basically. to keep the water and all that stuff. Well, birds would nest up in there. Perfect place for sparrows to get. So I went up there because I couldn't open the door one day, and I went up on the ladder, and I wanted to get because all it was filled with grass and straw and all this stuff. And I went up and I pulled that thing back, and I went like this, and there was a big black snake curled up inside up there. And I was like, off the ladder I went. I mean, it was just a black snake, but unfortunately, I don't care what kind of a snake it is. It scares me. They scare the hell out of me when I don't see them and I get on top of them. If I see a snake from a distance, I'm kind of actually, like intrigued by them, and I'm curious to get closer, but I see them and I know where they are. It's like when you look down and you got a snake beside you, it gives everybody a moment.
I'm gonna send Stevie a video, because I took a video of the snake. People might not believe me, so I'm gonna send Stevie a video, and she can put it on the podcast. She can put it on the video.
I'm going to check it out. I want to see that snake myself.
It was big, man. It was big. And
they are. Black snakes are probably one of the bigger snakes. In fact, they may be the biggest snake in the area.
Yeah, I never seen it since. Haven't seen it since. Got scared off by something, or maybe it's just laying in wait. Every time I go in the backyard, I'm looking.
Yeah, but all he wants is a mouse or something, a shrew or something.
He don't want anything bigger than him.
Well, I don't know. It's pretty. I was going to say it's pretty interesting how big of things that snakes can eat.
Yeah, I know, because their jaws unlock. Right?
Not only that, there was one, and it's got photographs of it on. Yeah, they do unlock.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't a spitting cobra. Are you sure?
It might have been a cobra. It might have been a cobra.
It escaped from somebody.
I tried to charm the snake, but it went up
out
in the
there
tree.
with your flute and your hat.
It went out in the tree. No, and you know what? This was about 1 o'clock, Todd. I know what you're thinking. It wasn't at night. I wasn't coming home from a trip out with you.
1 a.m.
Okay. I wasn't coming home from being out with TC one night.
Well, that doesn't happen when you go out with T-Cat. You don't start seeing snakes till like a day or two later when you have to stop doing what T-Cat does best.
Oh, man.
9 to 5. They're called DTs, delirium tremors.
Yeah.
You got to try.
That's a good way to kick off season 2.
I like it. Yeah, season 2, episode 1, we're there. Or, according to Stevie Katz, our producer, it is actually episode 42. We can go either way with that. We'll vote this week and see what we want to do.
Have you heard about Creighton Farms, the private club community that's home to the Redskins? Creighton Farms is just 20 minutes from Dulles, but a world away. On top of its award-winning Jack Nicklaus signature golf course, pools, tennis courts, and other resort-style amenities, you'll find custom homes and villas that are simply extraordinary, starting at $1.5 million. For property and legal information, visit CreightonFarms.com, or, better yet, visit Creighton Farms.
If you have atrial fibrillation, you know it can be difficult to treat successfully. Inova Heart and Vascular Institute in Fairfax is a leader in AFib treatment using specialized technology and expertise. This helps to more precisely target and treat rhythm irregularities that others could miss, helping to restore your heartbeat to normal. Give your heart the benefit of care. Visit inovaheart.org/AFib to learn more and to find an Inova physician. Inova. Join the future of health.
This is your car speaking. Just kidding. Ha, ha. This is your radio, here to announce Mobile Play from the Virginia Lottery. Mobile Play is the latest in lottery technology. It allows you to play games directly from your mobile device. It's all you need. In the palm of your hand. Download the lottery app to learn more. But not now, because you're behind the wheel. And don't forget, I'm always listening. That was another joke. LOL.
Gearing up for game day? Your local Safeway has everything you need for the perfect tailgating or home gating party. Pick up all your favorites like wings, chips and dips, brats, burgers, beverages, and pizza. Stop by the deli to pick up fresh fried chicken or the produce department for a variety of party trays. Head on over to your local Safeway and pick up everyone's favorites. Safeway, the official supermarket of the Washington Redskins.
Well, the new football season is almost here, and this team is not going to settle this year.
No way. They're focused on being the best. That's why they all went and got Hondas on clearance at the Honda Summer Spectacular event.
Because as we all know, if you want to be the best,
you have to drive the best.
Exactly.
Don't settle this football season. Get clearance pricing on a reliable award-winning Honda like the Accord, Civic, CR-V, HR-V, Pilot, and more. Don't settle. Get to the Honda Summer Spectacular event at your local Honda dealer today.
Locally owned Novec has the most reliable power in the region. And we all know how important being reliable is.
Especially with my electricity.
Novec provides electricity from multiple renewable sources
Yeah!
and will soon include even more solar.
That's great.
And Novec offers convenient 24/7 online services.
I can pay my bill anytime, anywhere.
Novec.
Power you can trust.